Hello and welcome to GSM TV, coming to you live from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. And my name is Joe Morris. We're bringing you today a special feature of the LIBA Business Association in the diaspora, or Americas as they would rather call it. Last time we were here, we discussed membership and other aspects of the activities of the association, and now we'd like to bring in an update since our last meeting. Our special guests in the studio today are the Honorable J. Carlton George Jr., who is Executive Director of LIBA USA, and he's been accompanied today by Mr. Charles Dwamina, who is the publisher and CEO of Voices Magazine, which now ranks as the leading immigrant magazine in Minnesota, headed, of course, for national recognition. Welcome to our studios, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
For such a vibrant organization, I almost got myself off track because I almost said, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I thought we had at least one lady here. But anyway, we have a good representation. So let's get right to it. You have your next annual, which is just the social aspect, but the focus is the membership drive. Honorable?
Yes, sir.
George, what's the latest update you have for us?
Well, thank you, Mr. Morris, for inviting us over here. The LIBA Business Association, as you know, was founded in 2007, and we restructured in 2016. Last year, we were fortunate to launch our membership drive. We invited the president of LBDI Bank, Honorable John Davis, who served as our guest speaker. We had people from California and all over the country, Maryland, who came and graced our occasion. This year, on Saturday, we will be having our second annual program, and the idea is to again showcase what we are, or what we intend to do. This year fundraiser is more or less we having an intern program, and our goal is to have high school kids going through college to intern with our businesses, so that by the time they get to college, they understand that they can also be entrepreneurs. So we are looking at minority kids to do that. So we are raising funds, and the way it's gonna work is that maybe for my business, we'll have a kid coming in and shadowing, and we'll pay, the business association will pay, maybe if it's $10 an hour, we'll pay about $8, and maybe the business will pay $2, so that the kid can have some idea of business entrepreneurship, but at the same time making money to go to college. And so that's the idea for this year fundraiser.
Mr. Dwamina, as Executive Director for Membership,
Wonderful.
Director for Membership, how would you describe the response you are getting from our community, which I see the community now? I see the community as sort of mediocre in terms of response to these kind of opportunities to mobilize. Mm-hmm. How will you describe the kind of response you're getting?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Obviously, it's a challenge. You know that sometimes it takes a leader to start something and others will follow. As we go about our duty in the community, trying to encourage other businesses to follow, we've been challenged, not to say the least. And the reason why I believe so is because since our organization technically is a new organization, people tend to want to see where we were going with it, because in the past, other organizations have come and failed, and so they are all skeptical about the possibility that this big concept would actually work. So with the leadership of Jackson George, myself, and others, we are determined not to fail. We are determined to encourage other businesses to join us in our endeavor. It hasn't been easy. One of the things, for example, we have gone if you go to our website right now, lib.org, one of the unfortunate things is that there are a lot of profiles that have been claimed. For example, we have about 78 businesses that have claimed their profile online and put in their data. But there's also almost 100 plus companies that haven't gone there to claim their profile. And when I say claiming your profile, technically what I mean is it's almost like a yellow pages. You go in there, you log on, you pay your due, and you claim your profile, and it allows other people to see in the United States where Liberian businesses are located. That has been a challenge to even do. So one of the things that I'm doing and part of my team is to reach out to them individually and walk them through the process of claiming their profile and uploading their data. The second thing that I've also done is that we've broken their membership due into installment payments. We heard from our members that most of them could not pay the $250 up front. So we broke it down into $50 installment payments. So you'll be making 5 individual payments over a period of time to cushion that opportunity for them to pay. Yet and still, even that has been challenging to convince them to make. So I think the problem is for us to continue to do what we're doing, to continue to create the opportunity like having this opportunity to sit down here with you and discuss what the organization is all about, and to actually reach out as foot soldiers and try to tell them the benefit of being collectively together. Because together we can do what? We can champion causes with the state. We can actually lobby back home for things that we complain about as a group. And with our money, I mean, just imagine if 1,000 members paid what? $250. How much is that, Jackson? It's $250,000, isn't it? I mean, if we did 100,000 of that, you can do 2.5 million. That we can even go and lobby for. What do you call it? Dual citizenship. We can lobby for duty-free privileges. We can lobby for processes in Liberia where individuals can take up industries. So the point is that we all need to join together and be part of this association. And that is the challenge I'm having to convince people. But I haven't given up. I believe that our Liberian people are good-hearted people. They're determined, but they like to see leaders actually live by examples. And so we're going to be the example for them. And even if it's 80 people that participate and pay their due, we'll work with those 80 people. And those of you who are still on the fence.
On that note, where do we stand now in terms of
membership?
Numerical
well, as I said, we have about 78 companies out there that have actually claimed their profile. Now, most of them might claim the profile but haven't paid their due yet. We're still going after them. As long as you've cleared your profile is online, we assume that they will pay their money, they will pay their due. We're moving into our next quarter, our next year. So therefore, the monthly and the annual due is becoming due again, but we're going to negotiate with that and see how we can make it more easier for them to pay throughout the year. And I think Jackson and I are talking about that softening of that opportunity for them to be part and increasing the benefits.
But George, we were talking about that just before we went live on air, about what can we do as Liberians to motivate, to incentivize our people to take advantage of these kind of opportunities? Because, I mean, we are very good at diagnosing problems.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And sometimes when we get into this mode of persistent condemnation, we lose sight of providing alternatives for solution. Yet we have the desire to effect change. So, Liberia is about, I know you didn't come here to discuss politics, but this is difficult to deal with without going into politics when you consider the fact that we are about to have elections in Liberia and we want to turn another page. Now, those of us in the diaspora are seen as fortunate more than the majority of those in Liberia in terms of tackling the problems that have Liberia in its current status. So we're seeing here that communication to generate interest for our own issues and programs is like stagnant. Now here you are taking this heavy burden with optimism on your head. So how do you intend to crack this sort of hard pancana?
Look, you're right. It takes leadership. It takes a well-crafted message, and that message has to resonate with our people in the diaspora. But let me say this: we were in Iowa at the YOLA conference, at the Business Association, and we met with the Liberian the president of the Liberian textile industry. and we talk about how we can move forward in terms of building relationship, building capacity, and doing some of the things that we need to do to get the economy rolling. The second thing we did was we met with all of the states, the county heads or the state representative, and we told them, look, we need to map up Liberian businesses in your state, so we need your help. And so that resonated well. We will be contacting them again to see how we can map up all the businesses. And then we have, our message is, look, we got two folds. One is how we network among ourselves, how we leverage our resources. But the second thing is that how we, as Liberian in the diaspora business people, can help to transform our economy in Liberia. And so we have to have a big picture. As we were driving here, we were talking about how is it possible for all the car dealership, the people who are selling cars, to come together and have a dealership. Right now, I'm in negotiation with all those who are shipping. You understand that Liberians who are shipping to Liberia, there's a lot of issues concerning Liberian put their stuff in containers, and so I'm bringing those people, all the people who own legitimate shipping businesses, we're bringing them together and say, let's form a union. Let's have a clear standard for shipping to Liberia. And once we are organized, then we can go to the system and say, look, LRA, the taxes are too high. You know, give us some tax breaks and other things. Even with the National Investment Commission, if you look at the tax breaks that they have, you must have maybe $500,000 to be able to acquire some of the tax breaks. Why don't we come together as businesses and get that funding to be able to have the tax breaks to do business in Liberia? So you are right. There are challenges in terms of how we deal with Liberia, and there are so many things that are involved. Liberians in the diaspora, we might be, most of us must say we have advantage over Liberians in Liberia, but on a daily basis, there are a lot of issues. And so the leadership in these different groups, in fact, there are so many Liberian organizations. The last time I was on the IRS doing some research, we got over 2,000 Liberian businesses, Liberian organizations in the diaspora. But if you look at what they're doing, none of them, apart from the Federation of Mandingo Association, none of them have provided IRS tax paid. None of them, I mean, there's nothing there, no asset, no liquid, nothing. So you can see we got these deems, but how effective are we? And so the things that we need to do is to start identifying these organizations, like we were saying in the beginning when we came. Let's sign a memorandum, understand, let's find ways in which we can work together. Our problem has always been we do not know how to work together. We are good, we're smart people, but the idea of working together, we have not perfected that. And so you cannot see 4 or 5 Liberians owning one business. That's the problem we have. And if we can crack that code, I think we in the diaspora will do better, because instead of us having all these little car dealership or someone selling cars, we have a car dealership. Instead of us having the tailor shops everywhere around, we have a big tailor shop that we can all go to and cut down costs. Instead of us having all the photo studios, everybody got their own photo studio, we can have our own office max. So I think it is strategic. The timing is right. And as we go through the process and try to talk to these businesses, they're going to come around. But I think the point, like Charles was saying, people want us to build a house, but they want the house to be built, like you said, for them to come and
you come for the dedication.
Come for the dedication ceremony. And then when they come, they say, oh, the house is not even big enough.
It's not big enough.
You know, so we complain too much. I think we need to stop complaining and start blaming people and be part of the process. And like you talk about elections in Liberia, I think the Business Association is a good entity. Let's take, for instance, I mean, we are not involved in the politics, but we want to know who's becoming the next president of Liberia and what are their views in terms of how we in the diaspora are going to do business in Liberia. The issue of dual citizenship. We are Liberian Americans, and if we have to go home and invest, we want to be sure that our businesses are protected, our investment are protected. And we don't want, you know, so the issue of dual citizenship become part of the Business Association platform. And so these are things that we are taking, but our approach is not to to say, well, we're demanding that. Our approach is let lobby. I mean, that's why we're businesses. Let lobby and find the people who will make the decision and lobby them and give them reasons to vote for this. And so all of our family members in Liberia who we send money to, those are the same people who are saying these people are U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
But you can receive our money, but yet and say you are telling us we are doing something. But it's so how we package the message, how we talk to our people, and so we need to change our mentality, the way we have always approached the issues. In terms of like, we are entitled to this. We are entitled, yes, we all ran in and came into exile, and the idea was we are in exile. Where we stayed is where we took residence. I got 4 kids born in the United States. They are U.S. citizens. I mean, so you can tell me that I can't take citizenship. If something happened to my kids, I need to come back and forth. But the issue is, as businesses, we want to invest in Liberia, and our investment must be protected. So we can't go to Liberia as a Liberian, and then you tell me I need to pay higher taxes because I'm a foreign investor. It doesn't make sense, because at that point, the chemistry is not working in my brain. So all of these things, like I said, we need to take it, but that is why we're having our program on Saturday. We want people who are in the diaspora to join. We are spreading. We're in North Dakota, talking to the groups in North Dakota, businesses. We'll be going to Iowa again, Chicago, Philadelphia, and other states. As soon as we get the list from all of these state representatives, we will be doing that. And one of the things that I want to conclude on is that Liberians got to understand that the power in saying I'm an Liberian American. We got senators. We can affect change in so many different ways. Oh, you got Jewish American. You got Iraqi American. Why is it that Liberians don't want to be called Liberian American just because all of us want to go home and take position in Liberia? But if we do it right, then we can have the dual citizenship, and we can go home and do what we need to do. All the countries around us have dual citizenship except Liberia. There has to be something happening.
Well,
and so if we can find that reason and love it enough and sell the idea instead of pushing it down the throat that you have to accept it because we are Liberians.
Are you sort of suspicious that there is actually a communications breakdown among Liberians?
Well, if I may interject in that part, even though we're not here to talk politics, but what I believe here is that I think we all should search in our souls and realize that the founding of Liberia itself could be the problem. The land of liberty, free slaves, and the mere fact that our first president was an American citizen. Have you ever thought about that being an issue with those indigenous people who are down there, realizing now we see that the Liberian American, they're coming back again? Have you ever started and thought about those possibilities, about the history of our nation itself as being a problem, and going back to researching the history and changing our coat of arms and changing the love of liberty brought us here? And is that true? That the love of liberty really brought you here? So I'm seeing it's beyond just the mere surface of this conversation that we're having. But the essence of why we are here, the essence of why we as Liberians, fortunate to be in such a beautiful country, is to do what? Is to find in ourselves the reason why we should go above and be more nationalist and love our country. Most people that go to Liberia nowadays just go to grab. They go to take away and not to give back. Businesses go there to see what they can get for themselves and what they can get for their family, and they leave. It's almost like they're going, there's a big carcass, and everybody's going to cut their piece of meat, and they are running away with it. And so therefore, I don't care how Jackson George feels. I don't care what Jackson George's brother and sister that are born or children would happen to benefit from my own sacrifice. So as I said before, we need leaders. We need leaders in our country that know the essence. 10 years from now, my children would benefit from a new Liberia that has a new vision of nationalist ideology.
We will go more into depth into that. But
you know,
I came to this studio with only one question in mind.
Exactly.
For Honorable George and whoever was going to accompany him today. And that question has to do with trustworthiness, whether in the diaspora or in Liberia, but as it relates to leadership among Liberians, which is the core of our problems. Okay. But We will take a short break here. We have to take a short break here, and then when we come back, we'll get deeper into the discussion.
You got me fired up. You got me fired up.
We'll be right back.
I mean, the conversation.
All right, welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to have you joining our discussion today. My name is Joe Morris, and in the studio here for GSM TV, we have a special presentation featuring the Liberian Business Association in the diaspora. And earlier, we started off with two guests, the Honorable J. Carlton George Jr., who is Executive Director of the Liberian Business Association in America, and the man in charge of, membership and I guess some other activities to keep the generator beeping for LIBA. Now, our third guest in the studio just arrived a few minutes late, actually, because, when you're wearing so many caps in the community, sometimes it's hard to be on time at all places. I'd like to introduce and welcome to the studio Mr. Frank Gaffin, who is the chairman of the board of directors of the Liberian Business Association in America. Mr. Gaffin, welcome to our discussion. Just for filler, what we were, the point at which we were, I was just saying as we went for our commercial break, that I came to this studio with one question in mind because I knew it would grow into a broader discussion, and that is surrounding why Liberians are not that gravitating towards opportunities that we create. We have all these problems. We're very good at diagnosis, and we're very good at condemnation, but then we stop short of coming up with proposals for solutions that can be applicable, and that has to do with our limited, mediocre participation in activities within our communities that are designed for our own benefits. And most people do that because all leadership initiatives are stigmatized with the status quo, distrust in leadership. So how do you guys distinguish yourself with this Liberian Business Association from this concept that you can't trust Liberian people with any kind of activities? One, it involves money, handling money. So
Yes.
that's a broad question. Any of you can pick up on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Morris, first of all, for inviting us into your studio. I believe the reason that is happening, one, is lack of knowledge. That's one. And for us here in this room, you can check our track records, because our track records will speak for ourselves, for themselves. Trust is a very special issue that, as you are talking about, that need to be addressed. And we believe we can be trusted, and people can look at what we have done in the past from our track records, and we will be able to prove that even in greater ways. But that, what I'm saying is, in the past, what have happened is when people are entrusted to take leadership role, they are not merely taking the leadership role because they want to serve, but because they want to show who they are. But when you are a leader, it is more than just showing who you are. You are serving so that you can be the leader to lead the generations that are going to follow you.
Okay.
So let's just come back to LIBA structure. We have a structure in place. As executive director, my name is not on the account. I don't have access to the finances. I have to put in an invoice, take it to the director of finance. The director of finance signs it. The chairman of the board signs it. So we put in a financial structure that works best, so that if membership went to ask what happened to the money, the financial secretary understands what it is, because I who driving the ship, I don't have that direct access. I don't have the credit card. I don't have my signature. I'm not signatory. So few people will have to see what I'm doing with the finances, and I think that has been one of the things that hurt a lot of Liberian organizations, that the person who's running everything is having the checkbook. And so he thinks he has the right to spend the money. And then when the question is asked, he said, but I'm doing everything. Why should I, And so before we structure, we look at all of the Liberian organizations, the major organizations from YOLA down to county organization. Why is it that most of these organizations are either stagnant and not doing the things that they're doing? So we put that in place to ensure that we have, not necessarily that we're going to do wrong, but to be sure that we have check and balances.
Well, somebody, I'm a social media enthusiast lately because of the elections in Liberia, and one of the prevailing comments that keeps coming across in discussions there is that because of political rhetorics on the campaign trail, we hear a lot of promises, blank checks being presented verbally, but then how do we authenticate these promises? Now, what you just said, Honorable George, sounds very good, sounds very assuring, very promising. The average Liberian man is not going to go take upon himself to go check your background, Mr. Gafwan, as you hinted earlier. You know, they just insinuate that, you know, birds of the same feathers flock together. And so we have this status quo and this stigmatization. Now it comes back to publicity, as you said, we need to get together and do a continuous programming to reach out to the people, which takes my attention further down your seats there to you, Mr. Dwamina, as a man in charge of membership.
Yes.
How do you sell this brilliant structural explanation that Honorable George just gave us? Why should I believe you that you're not any different from the people before you? But I mean, telling me, Mr. Gafwan, that you know, trust us, you can check me out if you want to. I got other things to do than to get into your privacy. So how do you sell yourself?
Okay, one of the things that I think that I have always stressed when I ever have an opportunity to meet other business people in our weekly meetings is we have to live by examples. In our own businesses that we run, we need to be an example for other businesses to see what it's like to be a part and parcel of such a collective organization. That's very vital for us as individual leaders in the Liberian Business Association. So those looking in from outside can see, okay, Charles runs the Voices magazine. The Voices magazine is a splendid magazine. He's the CEO and publisher, and they are doing good things. Jackson George has his company that he runs. Each of us have individual companies that we run as apart from the association. So that's first. So we live by examples. It's obviously like, for example, how you run your home. Obviously, you want your kids to go to school on time. You want to make sure they don't watch TV after 8 o'clock. You discipline your children. Those life skill set, we have to show by example. So first of all, that's the first thing. The reason why we have problems, as you have indicated in the past, is because it's stereotypical. People believe that Liberian leaders take their people for granted. They have. When I came to Minnesota in 1994, we had multiple leadership, and it was always just a chaotic situation. So they attribute those chaotic situations to any new Liberian organization that comes in and wants to do a good job. So we need to dissolve that stereotypical thought process by living by examples, by showing them that our programs, our policies, what we say we would offer you, we will deliver. So the objective here, as head of director of membership, my own objective is that even if we have 5 businesses that participate in Liberian Business, we'll work with those 5 businesses, and we'll make sure that those 5 businesses that are part of the Liberian Business Association get their full benefit. They get their ID card, they participate in all our workshops, they get the information they need, they pay their dues on time, and we'll make sure that their monies are used appropriately by, for example, as Jackson said, putting our reports up online to make it known how the money is spent.
Where do you draw the line between privacy and public accessibility, you know, without indulging in special interest?
Okay, that's a very good question. I mean, when you say that, obviously when you say that, I mean, you know, when you say, can you break that down a little bit here?
We are a nonprofit. Our books are open, so there's nothing to hide as a nonprofit organization. There's nothing to hide. So our report at this program on Saturday will be going over our annual report from last year. So all of our members sitting will understand what we did last year. We'll be looking at, the chairman will be giving an overview of where the strategic plan of the organization and where we're going as an organization. So this is, like I said, this is our 2nd annual program, and our books will be open. It will be online. Our report, when we file our taxes, should be online. So there's nothing to hide as a nonprofit organization.
So where can I go if I were home watching TV and saying, look at them, 3 gurus sitting there, very good talkers. You know, they know how to, you know, put rap on everything and stuff. Where can I go to double check the authenticity of anything that we are passing on about your organization here today to our viewers out there?
Well, I mean, our website speaks for itself. I mean, Liberian Business Association.org, LIBA USA.org. That's the first.
Go over that slowly, because you know, Liberian people, you give them letter They say, but what one inside here?
I know, they'll not read it.
Open. You know,
Okay, it's
they're asking the mailman to tell them the content of the delivery.
LIBAUSA.org. We are 501c3 corporation, and we are transparent, and all the information that you need to know about the organization is in the website. The website is in a work in progress. Obviously, we're going to put updating more information there as it comes due, but that is the first place you go, LIBAUSA.org. You will see our business, not our business plan, but our organizational structure. Everything is there, and the intent is to have membership, all the information that you need about to be posted there, videos, this live broadcast to be listed there, and it's going to be a wonderful place to get information. Now, the second thing that the first thing you asked about, obviously the state records reflect that if you go to, we're public record, to see whether we are registered business and we have 501c3, it's there in the state. You go and you can get that information that we're not just a bunch of talkers, but we are here to actually genuinely offer an opportunity for all Liberian business to come and join us and for us to do something collectively. Collectively meaning, as Jewish people, we come together in one unit and we request for services, network, and in one voice, we can demand certain things. That is the overall objective and mission of the organization.
So there's no room for kuku jumoku.
There's no room for that. That will kick you out. Because one of the things that Jackson has indicated, in fact, we're going to be almost like a credit check company for all other businesses. Because if, for example, in our association, one thing that I liked what he said was, if, for example, I offered you a job based on the fact that you're a Liberian business. I want you to do my video, for example. And you say, Charles, I'll do your video. I'll cut you a check for the whole process. And you don't deliver on time. We have a grievance process. I come back to Jackson, this is what happened. Or the group that did, and say, this is the group, the individual but he hasn't delivered. So how do we work with our Liberian people? So we have a process where we'll then bring you to the table, ask you what happened, and try to resolve between us. Collectively, we want to kind of rub on each other and get the best and discipline people, because not everybody that comes in our organization is straightforward. Not everybody wants to do the right thing. So therefore, as a team, we put the checks and balances there. That's very important. But my responsibility as director of membership is to do what? Is to create benefits. Because between me and you, nobody wants to pay $250 and say, what do I get? Okay, I'm paying you $250, you guys will use the money. My job is to make it attractive for the members to join. And the first thing I will say, for example, to join the organization and benefit it is the bargaining power we have as a unit. The ability to raise $250,000, because my job, I want to get 1,000 businesses that will pay $250 for their membership due to raise the money that we need to be able to go and lobby back home for our duty-free privileges as businesses, to be able to allow us to create jobs with the next government that's coming if we were able to succeed in lobbying the legislature to participate in our new privatization program. Then we will be able to see the benefits. Then individuals are sitting on the fence, say, how do I benefit from that opportunity if I'm not part of Liberian Business Association? Because guess what? When they go to Liberia, they will refer them back to the organization, and we will give them a template of that business back home to say, yes, check, this person qualifies for this tariff, this benefit, and therefore he's allowed to participate in that particular governmental program. If you go behind us, they'll send you right back, because we want them to feel our weight. And that vitally, as a membership director, gives an incentive for other businesses to participate in that program. So my job is to create strategic benefits that would encourage you as an individual. I have to join that organization. If you come to our events, for example, all members get a discount on their tickets. If we have our boat ride, if we're going to Las Vegas, if you're going to Miami and visit, and we put up a request, members are treated first and others participate. That is what encourages Liberians. Liberians, again, businesses, they will follow. You're on the fence, they'll criticize you. But guess what? When we become successful and Donald Trump invites us over to the White House, then the people will come. If Oprah invites us over to her radio station and say, this organization, then they'll say, how do I become a member? They want you to get there, they want you to be successful. Then they identify with you first. But guess what? We don't give up.
Let me add also that in our discussions, we want to be very, very careful, because I've heard one recent criticism that we have a tendency of putting ourselves down, putting our country down, and so forth. But let me make it clear. Our intention is not to put Liberia or Liberians down.
That's true.
But we are also Liberians. So if you hear us say the word Liberians, just substitute it with us or we. because we are part of it. And I like to recall what Benny Warner, former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, said before: what's wrong with us is us. So anything that sounds critical of us about Liberia coming from our discussion includes ourselves. You have no responsibility more than we do. We are all in this together,
Wonderful.
trying to make it better.
As just saying that, I think Liberia is a great country. Liberians are great people. We are very smart people. Having said that, we as Liberians, we have to look at Liberia from a point where it is our problem. We need to fix it. And I think from generation and generation handouts, from donation, UN handout, a World Food Program, all of these programs, PL 480, all of these things, I think over the period of time, even if you look at our school system, it's all about bringing somebody down. You know, we instead of, if I were in school, we talk about I'm first in the class and everybody else is down. We fight to be on top, and it's not a collective win. It's I. Even in our sports system, it was George Weah and Diba. I mean, even though everybody passed the ball and everybody did the thing, it was just two people. And so we grew up knowing that I must bring somebody down for me to succeed. And so as Liberians, we need to look at the big picture of our country. How do we change the mindset of our people so that we all benefit? Rising tides will raise all boats.
Yeah.
And so our goal as Liberian businesses is to look at ourselves in the diaspora and say, okay, how do we do what we're supposed to do here to sustain ourselves and grow the economy? Take, for instance, Brooklyn Park. We had 40% of Brooklyn Park Africans. 40%. The largest amount of African concentrated are Liberians. If you take into consideration all of our businesses in this location, where what we pay per month, we are contributing immensely to the economic growth of this city. Take, for instance, the houses that we have purchased, where we live in. Economically, we are contributing immensely to this city. Are we sitting on the city council?
No.
Are we part of the process?
Nope.
So you can see how.
Are we denied? No.
Are we denied? No. So you can see that we are complacent. And so this conversation, I think, needs to continue beyond just this. And I would suggest that on a monthly basis, we sit down, bring in Liberians, leaders, and let's go to what's wrong with us.
Are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting.
Requesting or demanding?
I'm requesting, suggesting, demanding, because I think the issue is much bigger.
Well, my boss is on controls, but I'm sure he heard that.
But notwithstanding, the Business Association on Saturday, we want Liberians to come up to this program on Saturday. We have Liberians coming from all over, California, Maryland, Iowa, all over the place coming to this program. I think the goal is to let Liberians know that the Liberian Business Association in the diaspora is strong. We're here to stay. We have a set goals of doing stuff in Liberia. And before I conclude, before the chairman comes in, let me just say this. The government of Liberia have never denied one Liberian in the diaspora building hospital, building a manufacturing plant. I just want to see one Liberian who will say, I went there and they told me I can't build this. Well, there would be frustration. Even in the United States, to register business and go through the process, it took me 1 year to get my license to operate a healthcare business in the United States, 1 year. So when Liberians go to Liberia and find these difficult issues, they come back and complain as if to say there's nowhere else in the world that you can have difficulty in establishing and doing business. Because the way it's supposed to be, as you're supposed to go, I come from America and I'm supposed to do this. What we're saying is that if we can come together, we've been able to get some doctors to come together to say they want to build a hospital in Liberia. How come we can get 10 or 15 Liberians that will put money together and go and open a manufacturing plant in Kakata? Why is it that Liberians cannot get together and open a manufacturing plant or packaging plant to help our own country? Because most of the food are sold on the streets, like gari, rice, and other things. Why can't we package it so that it reduces, jams and other stuff?
Yeah, contamination.
Do we need government to do that? I believe government should never be the largest employer. I believe that government should not do everything. I don't want a socialist country. If there's no clinic in bombing, that's a business opportunity. It's not for government to go and build all the clinics and all the schools and everything. Government should give us security. Government should give us road. Government should give us electricity. Those are things that governments should do. But things like school, clinics, and packaging companies and manufacturing companies, I don't want government involved in those things.
What about the government? What about the government institutions that are malfunctioning? For example, JFK.
That's the reason why they're functioning, because there's no other entity that they can look at and say, well, all of these people are going down, and so we need to upgrade. I can guarantee you this. If we built a hospital in Liberia, we built manufacturing plant in Liberia, all the good employees will be coming to those places. So government will have to do something to maintain the employees that they have, or else nobody will respect government. So if you look into this country, where we have private hospitals and other things, people go there, so government will always have to upgrade to keep to that private hospital, or else everybody will leave government, and then there will be no respect for government, and government needs respect. So government will have to upgrade its services, bring in quality, so that the people can respect government, because all the people will be saying, oh, we're going to that hospital because our hospital is better, it's cleaner, is that.
As compared to St. Joseph Hospital
or JFK. So
Exactly.
it's us, Liberians, who are creating the environment for government to do nothing. We are all government, so government is not somebody sitting down somewhere and waiting for us to
Mr.
perform.
Gapwan, the Honorable George just used the word maintain. Now, I'd like to give you another twist. How do you intend to retain the level of respect that you are building for the dignity of LIBA USA by holding on to the caliber of good guys you have on board so far and using them as bits to bring other people in? Because I've met some members of your group, and these boys are smart.
Well,
you don't even know that they're around.
Well, we believe one of the ways we're going to continue to do that is to stay united. Because there's an African proverb that says, if you want to run fast, you walk alone. But if you want to run faster, you walk together. So in order to continue to attract the best and the brightest, we have to learn to work together. That's one of the challenges that we have. We as individuals have grown our individual businesses. Yes, we are successful, but we cannot boast of one Liberian millionaire, because of just what the Honorable Counsel was saying. We all believe that we must do it alone so that the glory can come to us. But we have come to a point realizing what is happening around now in West Africa and other countries, including where we are. Even talking about the hospital situation. Most of the big hospitals, 90% of the hospitals in the Twin Cities here are privately owned. And so when I sit and start looking back, in fact, I was just watching a video not too long ago about Liberia. What have happened? Before the 1980 coup, there were factories, there were tobacco companies, there were liquor companies, there were paint companies, there were manufacturing plants. What have happened? What have happened? So we need to continue to work together as a team.
Don't forget you had 10 years of civil war.
I know that. 14 years.
I beg your pardon.
But even at that, we have had other countries like Rwanda that had even worse genocide than us. And they are moving even faster. They are an example. They are an example. So we cannot give that as an excuse that because we had a civil war, that's the reason why we are still stagnant. Okay? We have credibility issue. Yes, but that have to change. And it can only change if we start trusting each other. Even in this country, we've had people who have not always been trustworthy, like Madoff, okay? But Americans...
Can you acquire trust without public education to enhance awareness?
I believe that cannot easily happen. They go hand in hand. So going back to what I believe the late Todd Bird used to do, every year he had a slogan, from mat to mattresses. So everyone started going towards that. Total involvement for higher heights. We have to start re-educating the people about what we are doing, and that look at our example, like Charles said. Look at our examples, because they said the apple don't fall far from its tree.
I don't want to change the subject, but the man did all of that and still your assassinated. We assassinated.
Let me just give you a
Yeah.
clear example of some of the things that we do that create foolish noise and the stagnation that we have. A few months ago, I, from the business association point of view, I said, look, all of these counties in the state, they were organized to first work among themselves, but they all want to carry on projects in Liberia. So from the business association point of view, let's bring these counties around the table and say, look, what is your project? What is your project? What is your project? Remember, we got 2 or 3 construction companies based in the United States registered in Liberia, Liberian companies. So if these counties are having programs for development in the counties, these construction companies that are Liberian owned in America, they can trust the fact that say, we pay you our money here and you do the work in Liberia. If you don't do it, then we can sue you here because you register company in the United States. It became a factor that Jackson, Georgia, putting this county organization together to take over the community. Can you see how displeasing it is? We want to do something for our country, and yet you are playing petty politics that Jackson George want to take over
what's wrong
the
with
community. So my thing is, for some of us who believe that Liberia can be better, for some of us who are looking at all the ways that Liberia can be great, we need to continue and be persistent in our effort to show Liberians that it can be done. And that's some of the reasons why when you say Liberians are not responsive, I can understand. But there are few of us who are responsive. The majority, the silent majority, we are just complacent. And that's what we need to get up and do.
I think what we need to do, yeah, I'll give you a shot here, Duamena. We need persistent education, persistent publicity, you know, to keep pounding on the issue, because the people are not just going to unilaterally change.
Correct.
Yes.
The approach, as you said earlier, has to change, and I will add that we have to be persistent.
Correct.
To make believers out of non-believers.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes.
The question is, why should we trust you?
Correct.
Now, knowing what we know. Mr. Duamena, you have something you wanted to plug in just as we wrap
and
up.
it just goes back to the fact that we lead by examples. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't trust me if you say, well, I can discipline your child and I'm not disciplining my own child in my own house. If you can discipline your child is disciplined, then I can see how you can discipline my child. You know, they say, take the coat from your own eye before you take it from my own eye. You know what I'm saying? So the point here is that if we can't do it within ourselves, then you can't go to the other man and say, you know, I can do what I can. You should follow me. When if I'm following you, you're not leading me to the right direction. So again, it comes from within. You have to be sacrificial. We have to be able to be willing to sacrifice our time, like right now. My business, I'm here doing what because I love Liberia, I love the Liberian, but I love the mission. So I'm sacrificing time. We have to have leaders who can see vision, can see the ability to be able to change. That's why I say if we have even 5 members that will pay their dues on a timely basis, we'll work with those 5 members. Coming back to what Jackson was talking, opportunity of having us being able to lobby the next government to provide us in America, as long as we have the resources, to have a contract to build the next Ganta Hapa Highway and Road, for example, or Monrovia to Pinsville, or to build the next overhead from Broad Street to Garnersville. Not going there, but crossing right over Waterside and going high. Give us the opportunity.
Put our toe on it.
It can
be part of investment. It doesn't have to be government.
So if government gives us, and you have to be part of the Liberian Association to get access to that opportunity. That is an incentive why corporations will join. And we have affiliate members, non-Liberian members also participate because they engage other Liberian businesses to execute the purchase order. So what I'm saying here as member of director, my goal here is to strategically give them the best benefits possible as being a member and getting the full value of your $250. If you paid, you get you
said,
get some money.
We kind of like running out of time, so I will throw one last question.
No, but we
in
need to
there.
talk about our event on
discussion.
Saturday.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's
Go
talk
ahead.
about our event on Saturday, because that's vital. That's the main reason why we're here. Okay, every year, the Liberian Business Association hosts its annual event, and this event is going to be held this Saturday at the DoubleTree Hotel. It's going to be a wonderful event. You're going to see the best of our community, especially Liberian businesses are going to be there. We have a guest speaker. There's going to be a 3-course dinner, which I assume that most of you guys enjoy. It's going to be a black tie. Is it a black? It's not a black tie, is it?
It's a formal.
It's a formal event, and you're going to rub shoulders with some of the best Liberian businesses in the Twin Cities. All of you folks are invited. It's going to be at a DoubleTree Hotel. It's going to start at 6 p.m. and we're going to go all the way to 11 p.m. There's going to be a dance. After, there's going to be networking opportunities, and you're going to meet some wonderful folks. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. Actually, I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully, I hope you're looking forward to see Jackson and the whole executive team of Liberian Business Association. Please come and support the cause. We are all in this together. Without you folks, we are nobody, but we are just leaders that represent the community, and we want you guys to continue to support and believe in us. Give us a chance. I know it's hard to say, Charles Dwamina, I mean, why should I believe in you? Give us a chance, and we'll show you the difference between what we really want to do with the next government that's coming. We want to make sure that they participate and support the Liberian business in the diaspora. So that's about what I have to say. If there
All
are
right,
any
and then
additions.
on a final note, Mr. Executive Director, Honorable George, we've sounded so rhetorical and visionary. Now, we've put the burden on our viewers out there to imagine what you are about, what you intend to do, and so forth. What is one singular achievement you can put yourself on record for at this moment to tell the people since you came into existence that you have achieved and you're proud of, because it serves as an example of more to come?
Wow.
That is loaded.
That is loaded, yeah, but that's a lot. We first of all, I think the major achievement is the establishment of the Liberian Business Association. We were part of the U.S. Liberia investment partnership discussion in Washington, D.C. We're invited to London for that conference. We did not go. We have been invited to the Small Business Forum in Liberia in November. Other than that, we've set up systems. People are benefiting right now from the business association. In fact, we have restaurants that we are trying to plug into the city catering business. Liberian-owned businesses are benefiting, and I think we're still in our infancy state. We are moving gradually, and all of these programs that we are talking about in terms of putting the shippers together so that we can have a defined, clear understanding of what Liberians ship into Liberia and how we can clear the containers and other stuff. We've met with LRA, we met with the Port Authority in Liberia, we met with the Bankers Association in Liberia, we've signed a contract with MOU with LIBA Liberia, we're working with the National Investment Commission, the list goes on. And
More than I expected.
More than expected. So that we've done a lot. Okay. So all of these things we are saying, look, if we are not organized, they have the Lebanese organization, they have the Fula organization, the Nigerian organization, they are organized. Take for instance, I'll give you a quick example. There's a girl who said she went to Liberia, did a bid for a loan. She was approved for the loan, but did not get the loan. And so she said, well, the banks in Liberia, well, realize we got 9 banks or 10 banks in Liberia, we got only 1 Liberian bank. The rest of the banks are foreign banks. So, but if we're organized as the Liberian Business Association, you're a member of the Business Association, you send us a formal letter, we will take that on. We will contact the Liberian Business Association in Liberia and hit the right places so that we can see why didn't you get the loan. Mm-hmm. And so, but individually it's not going to work because they know you don't have no backing. That's why we are saying, come and join the Liberian Business Association. Let us be strong enough to be able to meet some of the challenges that we have in Liberia. If the Lebanese can clear the container in 3 days, why can't a Liberian clear his container in 3 days?
Not a Liberian, a member of
the Liberian Business Association.
Yeah, and
we need to be able to have that system.
Okay.
Yeah, and to also add to that, as one of our projects, you wanted to find out about accomplishment. One of our projects is to establish a credit union.
Correct.
The credit union is already, how they call it, registered, and part of the requirements for establishing a credit union is 3,000 signatures and $75,000, and we are working on that as we speak.
Okay.
And that will be duplicated in Liberia, so we have a credit union in Liberia.
Very well. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'd just like to request that next time you come to my studio, I would like for us to prevent any impression of gender bias. Therefore, you come, I know you got women in this group here.
Yep.
Especially dealing with Voices Magazine. So please make sure you bring some women with you.